Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Self-Made Mind podcast. We're joined by another very special guest with us this evening. He's the co-founder of Huel. It's James Collier. Welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you doing?
All right, thank you, and thanks for inviting me on.
That's all right. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Well, like any good story, James, let's take it back to the start, if that's all right, and just tell us a bit about your childhood.
Okay, well, I had a good childhood. I had good parents. I had a good education. I went to private school in the UK. You can tell by my looks, that's obviously where I went. And my dad still says, what do we waste that money on now? But I started there at 8. It was, I didn't like school, really. I did it. I worked fairly hard. I probably didn't apply myself. Well, absolutely didn't apply myself. I could have done. But, I did okay. It was quite elitist at my school. So I never, I was very quiet. And as a kid, I had friends, but I had more friends out of school. I got on better out of school. There's a couple of friends in school that were really cool, but more so out of school. I used to enjoy not going there. And that was from 8 until after the A-levels. Then I went to university, had a year out, went to University of Surrey, obviously to do nutrition, which obviously was the right choice of degree. I had my doubts at the time, but obviously it turned out all right in the end.
Yeah, we can confirm that were a good decision for you now.
Yeah, I know. Ironically, it's a few years ago before we started Huel, and my other business I was associated weren't doing so well, and I was fed up with it, and I had this juncture when I was applying for university. Do I go to do economics or do I do nutrition? And about sort of 7 years ago, I was thinking, should have done economics. But then I started working on Huel, and I definitely did the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So just picking up on something you said, you didn't really enjoy school, and why do you think you didn't enjoy it then? Was it to do with the education system itself, do you think? Or?
No, well, I mean, I went to Kimbolton School. It's a very good school. Beautiful school as well. If anyone Googles the grounds of it and the castle that it's in, it's absolutely magnificent. And I was very fortunate. But I was bullied there quite a bit. Okay, I was at a posh school, so the type of bullying wasn't perhaps as physical as it might have been at other schools, but nevertheless, it's constant verbal put downs, and it did get me quite depressed at times. And I maybe I was a bit oversensitive looking back. Maybe I should have just manned up a bit and not been such a wet fart, but I was, and it bothered me. Nonetheless, it was true. It did bother me, and and in class, I was always quite quiet. I didn't like it when teachers asked me questions and stuff. But yeah, it was. Yeah, they weren't bad years. It wasn't bad experience by any stretch. I know people I had a very good childhood. I had a great parents. Sadly, when I was 8, my mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer, but she lasted 11 years through changing her nutrition. And I think I always attribute 50% of the reason I did nutrition from that. I don't know if anyone's read any of my work or other interviews I've done, but I've sort of, that's quite apparent, I think. She was a bit more into the alternative therapies, which is obviously something I fight against now. Nevertheless, she might have done a few things that I would have very questionable, but she was having a good diet as well, with good food, lots of exercise. And for sure, this is back in the 80s when cancer treatment was nowhere near what it is now. And for her to, with diagnosed with breast cancer as I found out later, told she probably didn't have long left to live, to survive 11 years. And her goal was to see me go to university. And I didn't actually want to go to university, so I had that year out. But then when I did, and she died at the end of my first year at uni, so she saw me get there. I think that was part of her motivation. It's good. But my dad's, I've got a great relationship with my dad now. He's remarried and he's got a lovely wife, and it's all good. But yeah, so that was a bit of an issue for me. I think that probably played on my mind, my mum's illness, growing up more than I probably realised. She was in and out of hospital quite a bit. But yeah, it was all good. And then because I was bullied, when I was one of my best friends, still now actually, he growing up, he's a couple of years older than me. He started training with weights. Then he he went to a gym, and I've lost you guys. Are you still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you froze up there.
Oh, sorry. We're there.
Yeah. Sorry, my friend gave me got some of his weights, and then within a few months I joined a gym at 16 because I didn't like being bullied. And so I am that cliche, someone who had sand kicked in his face and went and started training because of that. And when I was ill a few years ago, I had 9 months off. But other than that, I only ever had, I think I had 2 weeks off over my finals at uni. Other than that, I've never had more than like a week off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where the training came from. It was a big part of my life and has been ever since.
Yeah. So when you left uni to obviously go into like the world career sort of things, what did you do then? Was it like straight into creating your own business, or was it like, I'm going to do it?
Well, I did nutrition with dietetics degree. So, which is basically 99% of people who do that degree come and work in the NHS in the UK as a clinical dietitian. And I did that. And I always knew I was going to be self-employed at some point. Didn't know what format I was going to take because the internet hadn't really taken off yet. So I graduated in 95. So yeah, I know I don't look my age, guys, but you know.
No, mate, no, you're looking well.
No, thank you. Fishing for a compliment there. And it's so then I went and worked I worked in Boston in Lincolnshire at the hospital there as a newly qualified, which was okay. And then I moved to Northampton General Hospital, not far from where I live now, and that was good. And I had several positions there, but of the two sort of levels as it was back then in career, and went to a sort of senior level. Had a great boss there. She was brilliant, and she let me dwindle my days as I built up my freelance dietitian business. I went down to 4 days and then 2.5 days. But then when I got to 2.5, she said, "Look, you can't cut back any more. You either stay or you go." You know, which is a fair comment. But you know, so working in the NHS, it was really, really, really good experience. I can't say I didn't love it, but it was very gratifying because what I used to do was work with enteral tube feeds, you know, nasogastric tubes or PEG tubes for people that are critically ill that need feeding, or they've got post-stroke, or they've got swallowing problems, stuff like that. That became my area, especially those living at home. So this is back in the early 2000s now. So I'm sure things have changed quite a bit. But I learned a lot about how the NHS works as well. Sat on a few sort of management type committees there, just to get some good experience. So when I did go and become a freelancer, I kind of knew what people want, knew how much to charge and stuff like that. And there was a lot of overlap. And I left the NHS in 2002, but by then I'd started my consultancy, which was 99. And I'd also started muscletalk.co.uk, which was the web forum that me and my friend started that turned out to be quite successful. Consultancy was always one of those things that ticked over. I see clients, I live in Northamptonshire, rural. If I'd lived in London or Birmingham, it might have been better. But then in 2001, I started doing online diet advice, which now everyone does. I can't make this claim because I don't know it's true, but I can say I've never come across anyone that's been doing online dietary advice as long as I have.
Well, we'll give you the title here, James.
First.
You were the pioneer.
Yeah.
You were the pioneer.
There probably was other people, but I was doing it in 2001.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's... and then, but I do any projects in my consultancy. It's basically, if you want work, you do anything. So a lot of the things I used to do was meal plans for care homes, mainly elderly nursing homes or residential homes, just to check they were compliant and nutritionally adequate, maybe write them or check them. I do seminars, do a lot of writing, but local press or national press or even international at one point. But because I started steering my career very much towards the bodybuilding side, because I was doing Muscle Talk as well, the two complemented each other. So I started working a lot with bodybuilders and strongmen and fighters. And that was what I did for a lot of years. And Muscle Talk as well became it was successful. We hit it just at the right time. And sure, when I say successful, it wasn't anything that was ever going to make us rich. But me and my friend, my business partner, who's still one of my best friends now, it both brought us both a more than adequate income for several years, which was great because it's flexible. But it was, you know, this is real-time internet back in the early days before social media.
Yeah.
So you get all the headaches, the trolls. You know, I was arguing with trolls long before most people were, and probably them stressing me out.
Real life trolls, is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, exactly. So you get people arguing for the sake of it, coming on, spamming. But we made money there through advertising revenue primarily, and then social media came along, the late noughties, and I mean the heyday years of Muscle Talk, sort of 2008 to 2010, I believe. I mean, we were doing really well. We were getting great advertising revenue, but then Facebook started taking off, and people realised their money was probably better spent on social media. So then we decided to start selling supplements using the Muscle Talk name, and that just did not work. Okay, it was a real, with stock financially, it became a headache. We had a shop in Kettering, which looked really cool. I mean, we had a walk-in shop, we were doing online as well, but the footfall wasn't great. But I was doing my consultancy there as well, and we ticked over, but it was dwindling. And I did a couple of other things as well, one of them being a gym clothing brand called One Rep Max, which is still going now, but I'm no part of it. I'm no part of Muscle Talk anymore, although again, Muscle Talk's still going now as a static site. So and I was always along the way taking work from my consultancy. And then in 2014, I got an email from a bloke called Julian saying he's got this great idea for a complete nutrition product. Is this something I could do a project on and come up with a formula? I quoted him, he accepted quickly, paid the deposit. I did the work. It took me longer than it quoted me, but in 2 weeks, I'd turned around the Huel formula roughly what it is to this day. And so, I said, this is a true story. This was June 2014. I said to my wife, we've got a great project this month, love. This is going to earn us, we're all right this month, because, the other businesses weren't doing so well. So we're all right for a month. And Julian paid me quickly. And then a few other little projects over the year, little bits of work for him. And then more in June 2015, launched Huel. The day we launched, we were going to somewhere in the car together, and he said, "Look, I need someone to run this with me. You're the obvious choice. Come in as co-founder." I said, "Yes, please." And it was. I still had other commitments, and I was about to get married. But my wife, she wasn't my wife back then. So yeah, we've been married for 5.5 years now, and I get married, honeymoon, and everything. And so we launched in June, and in September. August got married. I went 3 weeks in all, came back, and Huel had taken off. I remember reading my emails on the beach in Hawaii on my honeymoon and thinking, wow, this is going to be something. Yeah. And it was. So
I bet you were enjoying that honeymoon, sat there with them emails coming in, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, but I was a bit stressed because I'm thinking, I've got all this work to do, because I still had my other businesses which were floundering, but you didn't really want to give up on them at the time. Yeah, some had already given up on, but I still had all the stresses of them as well. And they were negative stresses, looking back now. Mm-hmm. It's all right having stresses, but they've got to be positive.
Yeah. Just a quick one there, James. So obviously, Julian was kind of the person that came up with the idea of Huel. And initially, when I were looking at the partnership, I thought maybe you'd just come in as the brains behind the science of it all, but you have actually got that entrepreneurial side to you as well, haven't you? And I think you said there, sorry James, you said you always knew you were going to be working for yourself.
Yeah.
Where do you think that sort of feeling came from then?
Two things there. So it's interesting, other people have said I'm an entrepreneur, and I don't know if I have. Working with someone like Julian, you realise you're not, because he is an entrepreneur and he's very good at it. And I won't compliment him too much here, but because he might watch this. But he's got that. Another one of the directors who referred to that entrepreneurial gene. He has that. I don't think I have it. I'm sure. I've always been quite ambitious and motivated. I've never, even through the not great times at school and some other issues I've had, one thing I've never lacked is motivation. And I think it comes from my parents. They both came from very poor backgrounds, and they went into business together in the glass fibre industry of all things, and worked together. And it wasn't great in some senses because they'd bring work home with them, and business discussions would be around the dinner table. Sometimes would, perhaps be a bit argumentative, and I'd be sitting there witnessing. But you pick up on the cues. You don't know it from when you're a kid on running businesses. And then, in the holidays, underage, I was working for my parents, for £1 an hour. My dad's a tight bastard, and it's and I'd be filling, because they did fill a place as well, and so I'd be filling tins of filler place, and and things like that. At about 12 years old, and so I've not been afraid of work. But yeah, I think I've always had a drive, and always wanted to be. I don't like the term successful because it's very individual, subjective, isn't it? But what some would deem to be
one of our questions. Sorry, James, we might as well ask you there. Like, what is your definition of success then?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real subjective term, isn't it? I think most people, especially in the Western society, see me as someone who's got successful business and has got possibly a load of wealth in respect of financial assets. I don't think it's a very good definition. I probably did feel that some years ago, especially these days when they do the Instagram selfies, like, oh, look at me, I'm happy, and back down the next minute. They want to be seen to be successful, which is why I struggle with social media, because I do use it a fair bit, but it seems so fake. And it's so what do I deem? So success to me is having enough, being financially enough to be able to do what I want. This is me personally, to do what I want to do without having to worry about money, and making sure that those that are close to me are in the same situation. And so I could then be free with my time to do other things that I want to do. And I would also see successful in having, in being, helping other people and being seen to help other people. Whatever format that takes. That's what I see it as.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think when we've asked people that in the past, it seems to go past the kind of material things in life, and it goes kind of within that kind of deep fulfillment sort of thing. That's where happiness is, I think. I think we all agree on that as well, to be fair. But other people think it's having a Lamborghini sat on your driveway, and it's not the case, is it?
No, it's so, I mean, there's hedonic happiness, which is the dopamine driven happiness, and there's a eudaimonic happiness, which is the more fulfilled type, and you need both. Humans, Homo sapiens, need both. But there's this wrong way of people chasing the hedonic and not having the eudaimonic type, and I think if you can get that bit up and bring that bit down, and they're sort of like that's where you want to be. And I think that's where I am now. Don't get me wrong, I do like things still, but I've got other motivations now. I'd rather be true.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. I just wanted to, I'm just reading some questions on the side here, but I'm just wanting to ask you a little bit more about Huel and the beginning of it and stuff like that. Right. So you've got these businesses, and at any moment with these other businesses that are not going so well, did you ever think, is this something that I don't really want to do and dedicate my time to, because it's probably not going to go anywhere? Or was it just a straight out, no, I've got 100% faith, bang, I'm going to do it and go for it, and kind of thing?
That's a good question, and one I've not been asked before.
Because we as business owners, like I've obviously got my own business. Alex has got his own business, and you go through that stage before you open a business where it's like, am I doing the right thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, for me, it's my first year in business, and I'm like, it's been a crazy year. So it's just like, there's been several times this year where I've gone, I'm doing the right thing here, so just go and get a job.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's Yeah, I think all the other businesses I had were all overlapping. So I was involved in event promotion for bodybuilding and to a degree strongman shows as well at one point. And, you know, you'd run a good one show and it would actually be fun and profitable, but they were few and they were draining. You know, bodybuilders, for all I've got a lot of good friends that are bodybuilders, it's quite narcissistic by nature. So it's all about themselves. It's the nature of what it is. Yeah. So you find that you're getting bombarded with questions and things. It's all about them and not, you know, and it's not I don't mean it to be a bad reflection on them as individuals because they're decent people, but that's the nature of what the sport is. Yeah. And so that would be quite draining. And that at the time I did think that what am I doing with this at times? But with Muscle Talk, because it had done really well for several years and then it wasn't doing so well, it was a case, well, we've done well before, what can we do to get it right again? And because the 1 Rep Max clothing, that was one that we probably a couple of years down the road thought we've got brilliant stuff here, but we're struggling because we needed so much stock. We had agents as well that I don't think treated us very fairly. And then the other things, I don't know, it led down a road. It led, you know, I was given some advice years ago that if you want to be successful, you've got to put your finger in loads of different pies, try loads of different things. That was the worst fucking advice ever. Because you don't focus on any one thing. Yeah. Okay, I'm pretty sure Julian agrees with me on that because he just focuses on Huel now. You focus on the one thing, you put all your effort into that. When it's going, then maybe think about something else. But I did it wrong. So I had my consultancy and Muscle Talk were reasonably successful. My consultancy obviously turned out to be extremely successful indirectly, but it's you know, so you know, absolutely don't regret any of them. The others, I don't regret them, but they weren't my wisest moves in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think saying you don't regret, is there anything you regret in your life, James? Do you have any regrets at all, or?
That's a real weird one, isn't it? I've been asked that before, and I never know how to answer because in that, do I look back on certain things and think, oh, I shouldn't have done, or should or shouldn't have done that? Yeah, I absolutely do. But then on the other hand, I wouldn't have. Things turned out all right in the end. Well, I'm not there yet. Maybe they won't turn out all right, but you know what I mean? You know, for instance, the years in the bodybuilding stuff, whilst I did a bit of nutrition learning because I had to, I didn't do enough. You know, I did my uni years, they were years well spent, absolutely. And the other years, I don't know, the last 2 or 3 years, I've focused so much on learning in my spare time and doing other things and reading. And I don't know, I wish I'd have done it for longer. I wish I hadn't. I probably over 10 years, I probably got a year's worth of learning compared to what I've done over the last 3 years. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I regret that.
Yeah, well, I think like you say, if you regret things, it's like it goes into that kind of mindset of trying to change something that's already happened, and that's not really healthy for you, is it? So I think you just gotta just accept what's happened and focus on what you can change. I think
exactly. I can't do that, and certain things as well were, you know, I was a nutritionist and my diet probably wasn't brilliant a few years ago because I used to be really stressed. It was really quite a stress head, and okay, so now I probably go over the top. I don't go over the top. I absolutely know I don't, but others might think I do. And also with the learning now, I really get my head down and read most days for sometimes hours, and I'm just making up for lost time maybe. Because I'm not getting younger.
Yeah, I think we can both relate to that. Like the last 2 years, I'd say I never read a book in my life before that. I always thought it were just like fictional books. I never, you know, realized you could actually learn, you know, valuable stuff from reading.
It's the best thing. Yeah. The best thing. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. Audiobooks are brilliant as well. A great idea, but you learn in a different way through reading books. But these summary books that come out, you know, about summary, that's just fucking cheating. You know, I mean, it's people. Yeah, you can get the top line off them, but you need to know how the author got to his supposition, how he can make his claims. You can criticize the author in your own mind, or you can say, yeah, this guy, this lady's onto something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like to take it apart, but you know, so those summary books are just cheating.
What? So a lot of people say that they read a certain book and it like changes their life. I mean, can you relate to a
Yep.
book that were kind of a epiphany for you?
Yes, I can absolutely give you one now, because it kick-started something else. It was about 3 years ago, I read Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens*, international bestseller, well-known book. A lot of your listeners will have heard it, and many of them read it. And I didn't. It was 2013. It came out. I think I read it 3 years ago, and I bought it because I had some W.H. Smith's vouchers. Went into a shop. I used to read novels, but not many factual books. I did a few, but I saw one. I thought, oh, I like a bit of evolution. I'll buy this, and that was only part of the book. And I thought, okay, I really like that. So then I bought Homo Deus, and then I started reading other people's books and on the critical thinking type, like Harari writes, that style. So that was the book that kickstarted this journey, for want of a better term, for all this other type of book. And I've probably read 50 other books like that since.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. On that, Bill?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm just intrigued by wanting to move into like the Huel thing and how it's going now. And is there any day you've had over, how long's it been going now? 5 years?
5.5 years.
5.5 years. Is there any time limit in that 5.5 years where you've gone, oh, it's not working? Or
No, absolutely not. It was it's been great. So Julian's from a marketing background. He had already made some money off a previous business that he used the initial investment to. It was his idea. He was, very briefly, if people haven't heard him on podcasts, he made some money several years ago on some voucher code marketing site. Then he was trying something else where he was doing diet plans, and he would try different diet plans and regimes and then review them and get people to do it. And one of them he was reviewing involved him preparing his food, and he found it such a ball ache to prepare the food. But the one thing that he didn't find hassle was a protein shake. You put water. So he thought, well, I've got this. Everything else is pain. Why can't we just put everything into this? So then he told me he contacted, I think, 3 nutritionists, and I was the one that he went with. And and that was how that's how it went, really. But Huel's grown. We've now got several products. We've got the ready to drink. We've got the hot and savoury, which we launched 3 months ago, which is where you mix its grains, veg, and the powders, and you mix it with boiling water, leave it 5 minutes, and eat with a spoon. So it's still convenient. We've got the bar as well. It's been going for several years and been improved. And we've got different versions of Huel powder as well, different flavours. We've got the black edition with a different macro nutritional split. So I've sort of, Julian and me, Julian usually comes up with the initial idea, then he'll phone me up like one evening and say, James, what do you reckon? And we'll talk about it, and I'll go, yeah, I'll either go, yeah, or we'll voice concerns. And usually I get what he's asking me.
Yeah.
And then we'll run it, the others at work, and they might be less aligned to begin with. Because, our thing is nutritionally complete. Okay, we have to have all nutrition. That's what we are. Yeah. And as long as it ticks that box, and we have certain, I've set certain standards that we need to be that, depending on what the product is. And so as I have all the vitamins and minerals, it's got to contain sufficient fiber, sufficient essential fats, good amount of protein with all the essential amino acids in levels appropriate to the World Health Organization's parameters, and other bits as well, and sometimes higher levels of certain nutrients, like vitamin D or vitamin C or iron, for instance, where there's good evidence that you need certain amounts. Then we've got to take into account certain anti-nutrients that could inhibit the absorption of certain nutrients and make sure that's compensated for, so there's no issue. So we've done all that. We've got that all summed up, and we've got good products. And I can say that arrogantly, and I can say that objectively, because we have. Okay, so
I can obviously agree with you on that one as well, because people won't know listening to the pod, but I've over the last few weeks I've kind of done a bit of a project with, obviously you've kindly sent over some products, James, and I've absolutely loved it. To be fair, not just saying that because you're here either. I've been, I'm now a hooligan. That's what you call your?
That's what you are. Yeah, you're officially a hooligan.
I'm a hooligan now. Yeah, I've got the T-shirt on for people that can't see as well.
So Alex, which products have you been having, and how many times a day?
So initially, James, I think we chatted and we were going to. I'm going to go 100% Huel, but I decided I wanted to do something that I can realistically sustain going forward. So I've been having two or three Huel meals in a day, and one evening time, just normal meal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been having the Huel banana shake at lunchtime. I've tied it in with intermittent fasting as well.
Yep.
So I'll have my first shake at around 1 o'clock. And then I'll have probably a couple of hours later, I'll have a Huel bar as well.
Okay.
And then I'll have my evening meal, and then my last meal of the day, I'll have another shake.
Okay.
And that's what I've been doing for 3 weeks. And tied in with exercise, I've been doing quite a bit of running. We both play semi-professional football as well.
Yeah.
Tied in with that, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Have you been able to play football lately with the second lockdown?
No, we haven't.
No.
It's been frustrating, yeah, but
yeah,
hopefully it's getting started again this month. So
okay, good.
I've got a few results there, James. I just recorded like my weight and body fat percentage,
right,
to share with people. So 3 weeks ago, I weighed 12 stone 8 pounds. I had a body fat percentage of 14.5%. And today I weigh 12 stone bang on. So I've lost like half a stone, and body fat percentage has gone down by 1.5% to 13.
Great.
So
That's good.
Yeah, is that good? Is that good in your eyes?
It's good as whatever one needs. There's no, if you're making improvements, if that was your goal. I mean, Huel's not been designed as a weight loss product.
No.
A lot of people use Huel for weight loss because you can easily track the calories and the nutritional profile, and it's satiating as well. And a lot of people are busy and they grab food because they're busy. Sure, still got to enjoy it, but if you've got a convenient alternative, which is what we've provided, then it takes that bit out of it, and then they can still have a regular evening meal, which they can vary every day.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's been massively convenient, like with my busy work schedule and stuff. I've just got a shake there, and it's ready to go. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah. If I didn't get my own Huel for free, I'd be buying it anyway. That's what I'd say. Yeah, it's because it is exactly what I've wanted all these years.
Yeah. Well, you've got, like I say, you've got another customer in myself now, and I think
have you tried it then, Craig?
I haven't tried anything yet. No, I haven't been able. Well, I say I haven't been able to. I work in a kitchen, and I don't even eat when I'm in the kitchen. So it's like. But I need to try it, to be honest. I need to get on that and have a go and see how I can get on with it. But
good.
Yeah, because at the moment I'm just in the mindset of it's Christmas, so I'm just eating a lot of cake at the moment.
Ideal.
Coffee and cake. That's pretty much what I'm eating, and then it's not ideal at all. But yeah, I need to sort my diet out a little bit more. I think that's the one thing that I'm lacking on. Training side of things is going well.
Yeah.
My diet's just not the best.
It's easier than people think, though. They just need to structure and eat. We all know what good foods are.
Yeah.
And get structure and eat good foods, and then you'll find that everything takes care of itself.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to speak to you, James. Just about, I had a conversation with a chap this morning. He's a professional rugby player. And I was talking to him about Huel, and I said, "Oh, have you heard of it and all this?" And you know, just to let you know what he said, it, and he'd never really looked at it properly. So this is just the point of view of him. He said, "Oh, it's just one of those replacement meal things in it," and I basically said, you know, would you be willing to try it? And he said, "Oh, it's not." Oh, sorry, just popped up there. Yeah, he basically said, it won't give me what I need because I'm a professional athlete. Now, I just wanted to get your point of view on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the guys. Don't know the guy. Don't you know what his nutritional needs are? But that's the point of Huel. It can be flexible, especially now we've got the Huel Black as well with the different macro ratios. Yeah. You can have as much or as little as you want, and it's not a meal replacement. People have it to replace food, but Huel is food, just in powdered form. Yeah. So you wouldn't say tonight I'm going to have pizza as a meal replacement of fish and chips. So I'm going to have fish and chips, or I'm going to have pizza, or have Huel. Yeah. And that's the way people look at it. It's a meal or food in powdered form, or in, I've got the ready to drink there, or in liquid form. You know, people think of soup as food, just it's the same way. Yeah. So, and obviously now we've got the hot and savoury. That is very much what people see as food. So yeah, I mean, the guy you were speaking to, the rugby player, absolutely could be. And there are professional athletes and adventurers who regularly have Huel, and they don't, you know, I wouldn't say should have it 100% of the time, but he's a rugby player. It makes me think he's got high energy requirements, and he's probably a big guy. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, you know, like I say, I keep coming back to it. I need to try it. I mean, my best friend is vegan, so it's like I keep trying to tell him about things like food and diets and stuff like that. Because funny enough, at one point I was very into nutrition and diet and bodybuilding and all this kind of stuff, and he weighs 9 stone, so he struggles to put weight on. Like it's mad. But being vegan as well, he obviously struggles a lot more. So, like, is there any products that are vegan, or is it all vegan? Or...
Everything's vegan. Everything's plant-based vegan, 100% vegan is what we do. So, this is, you know, I'm concerned personally about climate change. Yeah. I know it's become politicized, but that's not, you know, you can argue and say you don't believe in it or whatever. The data's there. Okay, if anyone who doesn't believe in it isn't lazy, they should go and look at the data because it's there. Okay, so it concerns me a lot and so what we've got is 100% and plant-based products with a few, you know, obviously we've got some of the vitamins and minerals. We've got the optimum form that we add in, and yeah, so it's perfect for people who want to follow a vegan diet for whatever their motivations. I'm not a vegan myself. However, I have changed my diet a year or so ago because I want to be honest. Personally, I'm not wholly convinced by the vegan argument. I will 100% defend in public circles veganism, and people who, you know, get a lot of negativity thrown at them, and I think it's invalid. I'm not wholly aligned with the argument. However, I have a real problem with intensive farming of animals, both nutritionally and ethically. I just think it's an abhorrent thing. And when it occurred to me, when I started looking into it and seeing about this a year or so ago, I thought, well, why don't you just not have it, you fat pig, James? Do you know what I mean? You know, if I cared that much, why am I doing it? Yeah. So I only have ethically sourced meat and poultry now. I do still have fish that we bought from regular supermarkets. I've also limit my total consumption of animal-derived ingredients to 10% of my energy intake, whereas the UK / American average is between 28 to 30%. That's the average. Some people are having more. So it's probably lower than that. So I certainly have most of my meals are non-animal based, and it's not hard. It's really not hard at all.
That's all it takes, really. You know, if everyone had that kind of mindset, just small, you know, incremental changes in your own life, it had made such a big difference.
Yeah, and I've written an article and published an article about that, my justification for it. I call it a contemplative diet because it's you think about, the three motivations I have are, so I'm fueled. I take exercise and my health very, very seriously. So I want to have enough fuel. So I take that, then ethically, okay, tick, and then sustainability. So yeah, mostly doing that. There's other arguments. I could be challenged quite rightly on why I eat fish, but you know, there's a whole argument I could go down and say why I still have that. I could be wrong, but I have certain views on that. I mean, you know, people might criticize me on my choice, on both sides, the vegans or the carnivores, but I can present evidence of why I do it that way. And I try and view life very objectively. Any decision I come to about what I do is based on rationale. I try not to put belief and bias into anything. Of course, I'll fail every day on doing that, but in every means of life. But that's what I try to do.
Yeah, brilliant. So this ties in quite nicely. You've just mentioned the word fail there. So have you seen the documentary on Netflix, The Last Dance?
I haven't, no, but my wife watched it and I walked in and out a couple of times. It did look quite good, yeah. Yeah,
you need to watch that, James. It's fantastic. Obviously about the Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
His whole career. I just wanted to just share a little quote from him with you, and then just get your views on it really. So he says, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." So can you just tell us about kind of your relationship with failure? And
yeah, I don't mind failure. I love being wrong as well.
Yeah.
To change the topic slightly, because people don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. It's my opinion. I'm not changing it. Well, I love changing my opinion. You know, I used to probably be too opinionated, so I don't want to be anymore. If we're having a conversation, okay, and we disagree, it can only be a good thing. If we're what I call good faith debaters, i.e. we're willing to listen to each other and talk about it. If you have an opinion on something and I have a different opinion, and I present to you my evidence and give you rationale of why I think I'm right and why I think you're incorrect, and you might go, oh, you know what, you're right, James, you've learned something. That's a net positive. Could be the other way around. I might disagree and you might present your evidence and I'll go, you know what, Alex, Craig, then yeah, I'm with you. You're right. I've learned something. I'm better off. Worst that can happen is we get nowhere and we're not worse off. But yet, debates and argument, they always seem to be negative. Oh, you know, you have to win a debate. Well, yeah, you can talk about that in a loose term and it's fine. But I don't think, you know, every debate I have, I win, even if I'm wrong and I'm proven wrong, because then I've won, because I've learned something. Or it's a no, you know, it's a draw, you know, and we're no better off. Neither of us have convinced each other. And if everybody could proceed in life in a good faith way, there really would be no problems in the world.
Mm-hmm. Correct. You've just hit the nail on the head. That's the saying that we love is you never lose, you just learn.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying there, and that's with any failure in life, there's always a lesson to be learned from it, and you know that's
and that's it. So I've failed on a lot of things, and I've probably failed on things, but I used to have issues with depression, and I've written about it if anyone cares to read my stuff, which we can talk about in a moment. But I do, like I said, even though I had these issues, I've always been kind of motivated guy, and being motivated is one of the things that can keep you going. I think if I wasn't that sort of personality, I would have had even worse issues with depression than I had. And it's not just being motivated that one day I'm going to do this. being motivated and having goals and ambitions, you do every day, not even every day, you do several times a day. I'll do it with a book. I'll say, right, I've got so much long now, I need to read to that point by then. So I'm going to go back to your point now. I went away from asking about failure. Quite often I don't make that point. You know, I don't read those number of pages. Maybe I'm not quite focused, my mind's wandering, I've got disturbed, you know, something. That's a failure by definition. But obviously it's not really a big deal. Then I'll just sometimes I do probably get a bit behind, but I'll probably make it up later to try and overcome that failure. That's not on a small level. It's just the same on a greater level. I've failed in a lot of my businesses. I think whilst my consultancy and Muscle Talk absolutely weren't failures, I think every other business I did has been a failure, and there's been a few of them. And it's, you know, but that's fine. You learn from them. And I had a few things happen to me a few years ago that were quite negative, and you learn from them. And I know it sounds a bit, here we go again. We've got another bloke just saying all this stuff about it, but it's true. You know, it's motivation is one of the things that I think if everybody tried to find little things to motivate themselves, and that you don't need big dreams, you just need little daily goals. Yeah. That's all you need. You don't need anything more than that.
Yeah.
And if you're, you know, some people just don't want to be successful, whatever that word means again. You know, they just want to get through life. And to me, if they get through life happy with a good family, they are extremely successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I agree. It's like everyone's got a different definition of success, like you say. You know, it could be your milkman. It could be, you know, richest millionaire in the world or whatever.
Yeah.
It comes from within, like you say. So, yeah.
The success is being happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, what's happiness? That's another one we could go down, another philosophical rabbit hole. But I think the key thing is not suffering. You know, every human being in the world should not have to suffer as a baseline, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, excellent. You talked about like daily goals there. So could you just let us know kind of a typical day for you, and what habits have you formed? You know,
yeah, I don't
stay on track.
Yeah, so I train a lot. So I try and do 7 exercise sessions a week now. Never used to. I've trained for years, but used to just do the bodybuilding. So the 7 sessions can be anything. I've started this year doing yoga, and I'm shit at it, but I've started doing it. Yeah, if you want to laugh, come and watch me do yoga. But
doing it as well, to be fair.
so anything, it's got to be at least 20 minutes. Anything less than 20-minute session doesn't count, and it's got to be constructive. You know, going for a stroll doesn't really count. I wouldn't count that as one of the 7. I might still do that, and that's brilliant, but that wouldn't count. So it would be, you know, if I'm short on the 7, I'll go on the exercise bike for 25 minutes or something in front of the telly and do some interval, or even just at a reasonable pace, something like that. But that could be weight training mostly, because it's what I enjoy, it's what I, you know, used to. But with do some online stuff. We're very fortunate. We've got a gym at work, and local to here, my mate's owns a gym, and so I use that as well, which is, you know, it's got members as well, but it's quite low number of members. It keeps it quite exclusive, but also it's quite a hardcore gym at the same time. So it's great. So yeah, so as the training, reading, I set myself a goal this year that I wanted to read. Well, it started off with 24 books, and then I increased it to 33, and I've done 33, and I've still got 3.5 weeks left or whatever.
Nice.
So I've done that, and yeah.
Get another 10 in there then, can't you?
Another two, that'll do. So yeah, and so I'll do that, and then I've started my blog at the beginning of the first lockdown. Something I'm hoping I can plug here. So it's so jcreason.com. It's my latest project. I started working on it in April, but didn't start until June. I've had this itch for a couple of years after reading Sapiens, actually, like we mentioned, to do some sort of more critical thinking writing in areas of psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, anything really, anything that's science. And considering my definition of science means what is true, that's quite a broad category. Nutrition, of course, I've only done 1 nutrition so far. I do intend to do a lot more. And it's just to try and commit myself. So my motivation is there. People have their ideas, and they say putting it down on paper's great, And that absolutely is good, because it gets it out of your head, gets on the paper, you can make more sense of them. But that's not good enough for me. You have to then write it in such a way and to be intellectually on point. And the only way you can do that is by publishing it. So you look a right tit if you're not. And so I do that, and I spend a lot of time on the writing. I've published 17, but I've got the 18th coming next Monday. And I started writing them in April, and they went live in June. The length varies, but typically they're 2,500 words, and referenced notes. I have them professionally proofread as well, which I have to pay for. Have a graphic done for each one, and obviously we've got my web guy that puts them up as well. And so it's every article cost me between £75 and £100 just to put up. You know, and that's my hobby. And so a typical week as well is a lot for the last few months has been writing this. Sure, I've been wanting to do it, but I wasn't going to start for a couple of years. And I just thought, well, because I wasn't driving to the office, I'm like 8 hours a week better off from not working. Let's do this. And I wasn't going to the gym back, you know, remember back in March when we weren't used to this lockdown stuff. Now it's a piece of piss, we're all doing it. And it's doing it so long. But it's so I was sort of 8, 9 hours better off. And I thought, well, I'm not going out as well. So to start it, and I've kind of really, really, really enjoy it. I absolutely love it. Sure, I can be like, oh, I could sit and watch telly, but I'll get up and go to the computer and do it. But as soon as I'm 5 minutes in, it's almost like I can't drag myself away. It's kind of found something. And, you know, I will do more nutrition stuff, but at the moment, they've been on areas of, I wrote 2 on altruism, 3 on conspiracy theories, did 1 on face masks, the ideology of anti-face masks, I call it. Why are people getting so het up with something that either works or it doesn't? There's no in between. So, and just, I did 1 diet, which was that contemplative diet, the strategy I outlined and the rationale behind it. And I record them as well. I read them out. So I put them on YouTube. There's no visual, it's just the graphic, or you can click a SoundCloud link on the website, just because most people don't want to read, and why should they have to? So, you know, I punish them for not wanting to read, but having to listen to my voice for 20 minutes. So that's and I want to do more, and that will lead somewhere. I have got a goal with that. I will write a lot more, and I want to write some books at some point.
Brilliant.
But I've got more time, like I'm not so beholden to Huel, and maybe in a couple of years might be the position where I don't have to do so many hours there or something. That would be useful.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to that. That'll be very interesting. Where can we find that again, James, just so people know the blog?
So it's JC Reason, my initials, James Collier, jcreason.com. On YouTube is JC Reason. There's not many subscribers on YouTube yet, so if anyone does want to, it'll boost my ego a little bit, you know. If you know, I don't want people to subscribe for the sake of it, just because they've heard me, and I want them to subscribe because they like at least one of them.
Authentic.
I've written one on my own. It's actually something really uncomfortable. So I'll just sidetrack, but I'll come back to it in a moment if I may. We weren't at Huel. We take mental health seriously, and then a couple of years ago, they set up a mental health allies team, which is a few members of staff who have had issues with mental health, and just so there are go-to people who can be a resource. They've all been trained as mental health first aiders, for want of a better term, for if other people have got problems, they don't want to go to their manager, they just want to sound off. Could be personal, could be linked to work. And then a year ago, they wanted a senior member of staff to be on them as well. So they knew I was interested in all this stuff that I read, because I sort of mentioned it before, and they invited me on. So I sit there as a senior representative, and then there's more we feel we could be doing as a group to support our staff. And then several strategies we were trying to bring on board, and one of them was a senior member of staff writes and tells the other colleagues about their own experiences with mental health they've had. So of course, being the only senior member of staff in the room, like, well, it's going to have to be me then, isn't it? And it's so you're kind of committed. So I thought, okay, I'll do this. Never done it before. I went home and thought, well, if I'm doing this I'm talking to my colleagues, like, I'm going to do it with the same ethos that I'm doing with the rest of my blog posts. This was only September, I think, that I did this. It wasn't long ago. I'm going to do it with the same ethos of, i.e., you know, you're putting your thoughts on paper and you're making them on point, no bullshit, you know, they're true and open as much as you can in obviously 2,500 words. So, you know, I didn't want to write my life story, but I did want to touch on the 3 key areas that I've had and a bit of my background. So I did it, and I published it in my blog, and then shared that with my Huel colleagues, and went and I put it on LinkedIn, and there was quite complimentary messages, and on Facebook as well, which was, and it was really uncomfortable doing it, going public. I've had issues with depression and anger, and I've not really, you know, arguably there's not as bad as some people have, for sure, but nevertheless they did cause me some issues in my younger life. And the one thing I can say with 100% certainty is I will never have depression again. So people, the very fact that I can say that means that people who do suffer from depression, you absolutely can, it is 100% resolvable.
Yeah.
It will be harder for some people than others, but it is absolutely resolvable. And there are ways of doing it. Being motivated is one of them. There are several other things as well. And the way I live my life by 3 rules now. One is I try and live my life by the Enlightenment values, like being rational, objective, reason, logic, compassion, and being as honest as possible. And secondly is be honest wherever you can. Don't lie, never lie, and try not to bullshit. And I distinguish bullshit from lying. Lying is a deliberate deception. Bullshit is where you don't care about whether you're deceiving or whether you're being true. You just don't give a shit, i.e. Donald Trump. You know, he doesn't care whether he just says it, whatever comes out, and people like that. But we all bullshit. We just don't realize. And when you try and pay attention to it, you actually realize how much you do it, and you don't realize it. So I will bullshit. I've probably bullshitted several times during this conversation in the last hour, but I will try not to. And that's the best I can do. So that's the second one. The third one is having to find a good reason to say no to myself. Growing up, as I mentioned earlier, I used to be a bit of a wet fart. So you, and that you just be like, you find excuses. Okay. So I have to have a valid reason to say no. So if I want to get up, if I've said the night before when I'm all motivated, I'm going to get up every morning this week and I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to have a cold shower, or I'm going to, you know, do this, that, and the other. Okay. You get up in the morning. If I am feeling genuinely ill, that's a good reason. If I've got to get up early and go to work somewhere and I'm, you know, and I suffer from lack of sleep later, that's a good reason. But you have to be honest with yourself and say, is it a good reason? If you're just being a bitch, then get up and go out and do it. And that's the way I do it. Same with reading. Okay, I'm sitting watching TV. Oh, I could just do this, but okay. Why haven't you read your book? You know, good reason. Go and do it. And it can be quite, some people might say it's quite tough, but I mean, it's not like I'm drilling my hand or hammering nails into my kneecaps. It's not bad. This is a good thing, you know, so just do it. And you feel better later from it. And it's actually, that's how I've controlled my former depression issues, by just doing stuff.
Yeah. Is it, because there's a book you might have read, James, it's called The Chimp Paradox.
No, not heard of it.
It's all about inner dialogue. So what you're talking about there.
Okay.
It's like you've got your good chimp and your bad chimp.
Okay. Right.
And it's about controlling the inner dialogue. It's like you say, you know, you don't want to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock and then asking yourself, is it a good enough reason, basically? And it's like them two sort of voices in your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what you're talking about there, and you're really getting on top of that now. So that's a good piece of advice.
And people, I probably found myself arrogantly questioning other people when they're saying, and I probably look a bit arrogant and probably saying, well, why not? And then when people can't give me a reason why, well, perhaps it's wrong that I don't do that. But I know a couple of people. One guy I was talking to the gym a few months ago, and I was telling him this, and he said, well, I don't get time. I said, don't you really? Yeah, you don't get time to go. And he came to the gym every 5 days a week from then on. So, you know, when people realise actually it's actually quite a good thing, and you feel better for it.
Yeah.
You know, what else are you going to do? Sure, if I get it. You know, I've not got young kids here. If you're family and you've got young kids, you've got time, you've got to get them to school, and you're going to be absolutely drained if you don't. That's a really good reason. But it's just being objective about it. I try and live my life through an objective lens, and it's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
You know, get rid of beliefs. I know I don't want to, you know, talk too much about religion or anything, but a belief isn't just religion. It can be a political belief. It can be conspiracy. It can be just what you think, but you have to be able to justify yourself, live your life by the scientific method. And it's if you do that, then you'll find you flourish more. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone else would feel the same.
Yeah.
What do you guys do? Because you've both got your own businesses.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy running them, and do you ever find it lack of motivation, or are you pretty focused?
I think everyone has the day where the odd day where you don't really feel up to it that day, but then you kind of got to reach inside and think about, why am I getting up today? And if you've got that strong enough why, then you just do it, and you crack on, and that's how I get through them sort of days.
Yeah, you're the same.
No, I don't see getting up for work as work.
Good.
I enjoy it that much. So if I'm having a bad day, I can still come to work and enjoy my day. Like I enjoy, as stupid as it sounds, I enjoy making people.
No, it's not though, is it? Because it's really good. And I mean, we're all fortunate that we've got jobs that are like that. There's a lot of people that have a mundane job and they have to do it with a different sense of purpose. This is the thing with the short-term goals. I think if you are in a warehouse and it's not the best warehouse, I don't know, maybe you can try and set yourself little challenges. That's, I've worked in a warehouse before, so I can say this. You set yourself little challenges, like I'm going to pick so many of these things in such a time period, or I'm going to beat him, or whatever. And that's what I mean by little goals.
Yeah.
And it keeps you positive, keeps you focused. Because I've done some shit jobs in factories as well in my younger days, and you watch that clock. My goal was watching that second hand. And it's it's horrible.
Yeah, I have as well. Yeah, I think we all have had. Listen, James, we're going to have to wrap it up there. We're coming up to the end. I think we could probably talk all night if we wanted to. But,
great. Sorry, I've been rabbiting on about myself for an hour.
Oh no, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been a pleasure having you on, pal. Just a couple of last questions, really, and then we'll wrap it up. So could you give us a fact about yourself that most people wouldn't know?
I used to play the trombone for years at school, and I did it for years, and I did it to please my mum. And when she realised I was only doing it to please her, she said, "Do you really not want to play it?" I said, "No." "Can I give up, Mum?" "Okay." And I gave it up, and I never looked back. Best thing I ever did was giving up the trombone, but my mum just wanted me to do it, bless her. I think I did about 7 or 8 years. Hated it. I actually got grade 5, so I couldn't have been that bad.
Right. Oh, your life could have took quite a dramatic turn.
Yeah, it could have been in an orchestra.
Yeah. So last one.
So if you had the power to invite anyone into this chat right now, it can be dead or alive, or who would you invite? And
this is a really hard one. I don't know if anything contributing to this chat, because the people I'd invite for conversation are got far more to offer this conversation than I have. They'd be the people like the Hararis of this world. But I don't know. But if it's this chat, then this is December 2020. So if you could invite Charles Darwin to this chat, by default, he'd see the world at this time, and he'd see that his theory of evolution by natural selection that he wrote in 1859 is now as close to proven as anything possibly could be. I think he'd be quite impressed.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be a very interesting chat. If you want to pop in, Charles, pop in.
Yeah.
Charles, come in for a brew. Yeah.
Come in for a coffee, yeah?
Yeah. Get him down your coffee shop, yeah.
Just to finish on a high note, James, to anyone that's kind of starting their journey and you know, wanting to really take control of their own life, what final piece of advice would you give to someone?
Don't eat yellow snow. No, that old one. Surround good people. Don't let people drag you down, but don't be horrible. Just, you know, people might be negative, but they've got problems. Just acknowledge that, but don't let them drag you down. Just maybe keep them at a bit of a distance, but not too much that you're, you know, that they're not draining you. Because I've had that before. And then good people. It's one thing I will say about Huel. What the key thing to make successful is the good people that I work with. Everybody I work with is great. There have been a couple of people that obviously haven't lasted, but the majority of people, we take a long time to recruit, and therefore we recruit skilled people and, more importantly, just good people. They're fun to be with. They're great. And that's what makes, you know, good people, not, you know, don't surround yourself by bad people, surround yourself by good people. That's for business, and that's for life as well. And just don't be horrible.
Yeah. That's yeah, fully agree with that as well. So that's great to finish on that, Paul. Thanks. Where can people connect with you, James?
So obviously, check out Huel.com for the Huel products. It's a global. There's several different websites. But if you just put in Huel.com, you'll come up to the UK one, or if you're in another country, you'll receive that. And jcreason.com. You can send me messages there if anybody does like what I've written there. I want feedback. I want negative feedback as well, but you've got to change, you know, like I said, you've got to be objective. Don't just slag it off for the sake of it. But if I've made an error, I want to know.
Yeah.
And that the first article is all about that. So yeah, you can get in touch through there, or on Twitter. I'm James Collier MT. That there as well, or on LinkedIn.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right. I'm trying to avoid Facebook. I'm on it, but I'm trying to avoid it. So don't get in touch with me there.
Right, brilliant, mate. Yeah, like I say, it's been a pleasure, and
thanks, guys.
Wish you all the best with Huel and just personal life and everything, mate. And thank you for giving us your time.
And thanks, and all the best with this project of yours, guys. I think it's really cool what you're doing. Very professional, and I just hope that any way I can do to help you get viewers to this, and the other people you got on as well. And I can't wait to listen to the first one.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank
you.
Great.
Thanks,
you, guys. Take care.
Thanks, pal.
Bye.